The following podcast is part of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Hello, everybody. Today I am joined by wonderful guest Melanie Taylor. Melanie is a licensed counselor, a certified hypnotherapist, a trauma specialist, and founder of True Work. And today she's here to discuss her personal journey through childhood trauma and her recent book, You Are for True. This book is a tender, honest exploration of healing, identity, and returning to the self through story, reflection, and embodied insight. Melanie invites readers to reconsider the narratives shaped by trauma and survival. This book is not about fixing what's broken, but about remembering what was always worthy, whole, and for something more. It offers a compassionate path towards self-trust, repair, and becoming who you were created to be. Today, Melanie and I dive into a deep discussion about the traumas of the past and how to discover that true self that is awaiting all of us. I hope you enjoy our discussion today. I will link everything that Melanie has to offer in the show notes for you. You can find her at youre4.com. Enjoy today's chat, and I will see you all next week. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Live Like Eden podcast. I'm Lindsay, your host, and I'm here with licensed counselor and certified hypnotherapist and trauma specialist and founder of True Work, which I'm dying to hear about. Hi, Melanie. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. It's exciting. Yeah.
It is. Thank you for reaching out, and I'm excited to hear all about. You have a book called You Are for True, which I started reading the other day, and you have a lot to say, so I'm interested to hear your story. And I always start the program because I love hearing people's stories, and I think we can learn a lot from each other and personal transformation and healing and spirituality, all the things. And I'd love to just give you the space to share your story, why you were drawn to do the work that you do, where your life unfolded, and we'll just start with that.
Great. Thanks. I am the author of You Are for True, and the book is my story, but primarily the base of the book, it's about repair. And I specialize in working with people who have a lot of complex trauma that's just concurrent traumas over and over again. And I was one of those people. And through it all, I had to learn what I was for instead of what had happened. And nobody really taught me that along the way because, when you grow up in that atmosphere, they don't know either. And so you're kind of cast out into the world with, expected to handle adult relationships with, I don't know, I had a lot of kind of childlike emotional development. So I didn't know how to handle relationships. And, I lost myself, and through it all learned that when no one teaches you how to become a somebody, you kind of turn into an anybody, everybody, but
Yeah.
you walk around and I felt like a nobody.
Mm-hmm.
That followed me around. And it wasn't until 2005 in a lifespan and development class where she said, we're going to talk about healthy childhood development. And it stopped me because I knew what the words meant, but I didn't understand the context, and suddenly it gave me a model for to compare against what I'd had. And so I've learned that people with a whole lot of trauma often don't even know they've got that much trauma until you start showing them what trauma isn't.
Mm.
The more
Mm-hmm.
I learned about what trauma wasn't, the more it opened up for me how much I had had, and then kind of, working just towards healing it. And so the book it's my story, but I stayed generalized because I didn't want it like, oh, we're reading about Melanie. You're reading about a girl.
Yeah.
Uh, and true, the part that I think we all have inside of us is just like that true self of knowing that we've always been created for love. That's why we're here. We're for loving and community. And you don't learn that. And there's so many things and complexities that go into that. But just even at its baseline, when it's not something you live and breathe, you kind of try to earn your worth, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the true goes into each age, newborn through ages 18, and you know, doesn't take away what was there, but kind of gently reparents the part in a way that helps the development of that piece of you. I think a lot of those traumas will create kind of wounded parts, and they hold these stories and these filters in front of us that we see the world through. So we've got to tell them the other side of the story because they only have the wounded side. And so when you show them kind of, well, this is actually what a 2-year-old is for, this is what a 15-year-old is for. And even going through it myself, it was like this grieving experience of just kind of seeing myself again and then going, wow, this is my truth. Like I've never spoken my truth before in a way that, it always felt like I think there was this filter of you'll betray, the people in your family if you tell the stories. But
Right.
at some point, how long do I have to betray me to fulfill you?
Yeah. Why do I need to protect you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
But that's a common thing people share, you know?
oh, absolutely. It's, all the different layers of, how we get raised into it. But so the book was, I mean, it's about repair, and it led me into, everything that I do, from EMDR to hypnotherapy. I also, I specialize in therapy intensives, which I do 2 and 3 day private, what I call private healing retreats. And it's a way to move through a lot of that trauma in a condensed amount of time versus, or not a condensed amount of time, but to have more time for it to unfold and unpack instead of, the 50 minutes where you go to therapy once a week.
For years.
Because, yeah, because it's not enough. It's really not. It's not enough to unpack it. And so 2 or 3 days gives us enough time to unpack, let you actually kind of sense and feel what transformation feels like, what a settled nervous system feels like. And sometimes we can't get to that piece for months in therapy because it
Hmm.
takes so long, to build rapport and stuff like that. So the therapy intensives, I think that's where I always got the most benefit out of for me, because it was when I had the more space and more time to work through the stuff. So that's kind of what I've turned my passion into now. Their transformation because you see who you are underneath all that stuff.
Can you talk a little bit about your book's format? Because it's really kind of a memoir style about your past. The way I was reading it, and maybe you can explain it a little more, is you've set it up where you're talking about yourself, but you're almost talking about it as a third person, right? And then the second part of that story you tell in each chapter, you switch to true, which you just talked about. Can you explain what true is to you and so the audience can understand that? Was it how it came to you? Was it a feeling of a physical spirit or just a knowing? Like, how was it for you?
Oh, I love that. So yes, so the book is actually narrated by True. She narrates, it's narrated completely by True, both the repair and the telling of the story. And True came about um, in during a time when I was doing a whole lot of work, and I had kind of I'd felt a couple of times during intensives like this powerful authentic piece of me, like just bright and just wow, and I felt it really powerfully in a session. And then I was like, what can I, like, I know this is my authentic self. I know it is. And it was kind of the image of me holding my infant self, and just
Mm-hmm.
saying, you're going to be seen, you're going to be loved, you're going to be held. And so I looked up the word authenticity the next day because I was like, I don't want to call it my authentic self because that just, I guess I could have abbreviated, call myself as, which, we all know what that's going to get, linked into. So,
Right.
um, and I looked and like one of the words was true. And I was like, oh, I love that. And so that's kind of what I named that true, perfect self of me. And in a way, it just felt like she's been this bridge between my spirit and my soul. My
Mm.
soul's got like all this stuff in the backpack and that it's had to carry around, but my spirit, knows nothing but love. And true is just kind of that bridge of like, of what you compare it to, of like, she's like my little bit of love, my little bit of full love. And I can go, okay, what would love do here? In whatever form or fashion that is for you.
Yeah. Did you feel it as like a guide or a teacher to you, like showing you how to transform it, or how did it happen? Like, how did you feel it?
So in the therapy session, it was a somatic led session from another therapist. And this particular piece, I was kind of, she was like, well, what all these parts of you need to say? Because I was working through a lot of mom wounds, we'll just say
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just needed to be cared for. I just needed to not be alone in all of this. I guess energetically there was this shift and just like this kind of we just get these visions in our head, these images. It's not like, where you're in a trance or anything, but and I just kind of sensed this baby me kind of being born and like just flip and take care of me like you're supposed to,
Yeah.
and that presence just kind of stepped in and was like, and it was just true me, it was like full love, full, you're going to be okay. You were created to be loved and you're going to find your way back to that. And then that's kind of when the book poured out.
Mm.
And I started, kind of writing. I started writing the stories at first because I've always wanted to write a book. And so I've journaled, a lot and was going through that and trying to put it together. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want it to be narrated. I want it to, it'll be narrated by True. That's the perfect narrator, to tell both the story. And it was easier to write the story when it felt like this love piece of me was sitting beside me,
Mm-hmm.
especially having to write the really hard parts.
I was wondering that.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. It was even harder to go back and kind of reparent them
Mm-hmm.
into like this motherly, tender, nurturing pattern. So yeah, it did, I'm getting kind of goosebumpy now, so I guess yeah, it did. It was a very spiritual kind of experience for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. And it can, when you go and write something that's so personal and it's almost like you're having to relive it, right? What was the writing process like for you because you share you were abused as a child, it sounds like your father and then you had a stepfather as well. You're very young with your biological father, right? When he left.
Yeah, he left and then raised by the other father. Yes, it was very difficult. The biggest thing I think that happened, to me and everybody else is I didn't develop a very good identity because there wasn't a safe sense of being myself.
Right.
So I didn't know how to be myself. Because, when you've got people and parents that are dysregulated or they're alcoholics or they're into addiction or whatever it is, it can be high functioning anxiety. It still bleeds into, the kid. And the way we develop is it's got to be my fault if they're behaving this way.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's no one to correct that belief by, well, no, this is a boundary of, you're for protecting, you're for respecting, you're not for being yelled at. Those are boundaries that we need to kind of live and breathe as we grow up. And we don't learn those.
Yeah.
So we learn instead to shrink ourselves and to make ourselves smaller to fit the room.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happened to me. And you get to this place where when that identity doesn't form, it's hard to move into true intimacy in relationships. Intimacy is, I tell people, into me, I see. I
Mm.
trust you enough to show you the deepest, darkest parts of me, and I'm safe for you to show that to me too. You know,
Yeah.
uh, Very few people actually earn that, but I can't share a self if I don't know a self. And
Right.
if I'm still trying to figure out who that self is, and that's why, I work with so many women who, 40s, 50s, 60s are like, I don't know who I am. I
Wow.
lost myself because we instead absorb into the roles that feel good. Mother feels good. Maybe we're a career person. Maybe, we're a sister, we're a wife, we're a partner, we're, a daughter. We're all these roles.
Yeah.
And then over time, because time does, those roles switch, and it's supposed to, because that's the way life changes. And when we didn't develop that kind of sense of self, then there's nothing to come there. It feels like there's nothing to come back to,
Mm-hmm.
because you've kind of tied yourself into the roles. And so with that is the nervous system pattern that comes with it as those roles start going away. Sometimes we'll put more chaos into our world to avoid a chaos that's already there.
Yeah.
I'm notorious. It's like if I have a whole lot of art stuff going on, it usually means I've got one thing I'm not focusing on.
Well, but you see it, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to see it, Melanie, right? And then most people don't see it, and it's just constant.
Oh yeah, we got to take birds. I'm a perfectionistic procrastinator. If it can't be perfect, sometimes I'll wait to the last minute to do it, and I think a lot of us do that.
Most of us probably do that. I don't want to do it. I have to wait till the last second. So, how old were you when you said you took a class, is it in college, about child development? So, was that like a trigger for you that suddenly kind of put you on a healing path, or when did that all start?
Well, it lit a fire under me. The healing part didn't really start until later when I started going to grad school and learning more about therapy. And the real healing came after I signed up for to become a play therapist. I was working with children in a psychiatric facility, and I wanted to put off my student loans. I mean, to be honest. So I was like, well, I'll just go back to school and become a play therapist.
Yeah.
And I had never played. Like, I knew from the first 10 minutes of the class that, like, all the parts inside of me were screwed. And we sat down, the teacher, it's intro to play therapy 101. And we sit down and we've got like this gingerbread cutout of a person and these four band-aids. And the instructions were simply bandage your person. And we're like, what? What? And some of us would ask questions and she would just reflect back. It's hard when you don't know full instructions of what to do, but the instructions are just to bandage your person, and that was kind of, what she said. So we're already dysregulated. And then afterwards, she's like, okay, well, what happened to your person? I'm like, oh, no, 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 there's not enough band-aids, right?
Yeah. I need a whole box, please. Yeah.
Learning how to let children play, I think opened me up in ways, and I fell in love with sand tray, and I still do sand tray with women in my office. It connects to people in ways that,
What is that? Can you explain
oh
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
let's go into that. I've never even heard of this. What is it called?
So it's called sand tray. I wish it was in my office. I'd run and show you. But it's a big box of sand. You don't get in it, but it's a
Yeah.
big box of sand. And I have a bunch of miniatures, and there's all kinds. There's everything that you could imagine. And I tell people just create your world in the sand. And
Hmm.
so they'll kind of put their world, and different figures represent different things. And when we're working through trauma, I'll say, specifically on some of them, I love doing the hated part. Like, people are like, I hate this part of me that does this and does that. And I'm like, okay, well, if we could take out that part of you that you hate and put it in the sand tray, let's show me that part.
Hmm.
And then what comes next is so beautiful, because I'm like, well, what does that part need? Like, it's hating and doing these things for a reason, but what is it not getting?
Yeah.
Slowly it starts unfolding of, oh, these are, yeah, they're parts of you. They're habits and they're patterns that were under supported at one time.
Mm-hmm. Like not nurtured. Yeah.
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 When we start teaching you that skill, you start applying it to yourself and you start going into the world and you're like, oh, hey, this is disrespect. I don't have to stick around when there's just, disrespect being served. So it helps to one kind of show the part of, oh, I hate this part. And then the other part of like, well, what is it needed? Because we
Yeah.
have what we need all along. I did a research study in undergrad, and it was called the Cinderella study. It was just small, but it was, a capstone project. And I sent out self-esteem surveys. They were just the simple one you can find online. People answered them, and then the ones that scored really low, I sent back with kind of like a summary of the questions and was like, hey, this person responded really low. Would you be open to maybe providing feedback to some of the low responses? And they were like, sure. So I sent them the survey that was really low responses and they gave these beautiful answers. What they didn't know is they got their own survey back.
That's interesting.
They always, I know. And it was like little at the time because I didn't really understand it. And I look back now and I'm like, man, with everything I know now after grad school, I could have really rocked that study. But it was eye-opening because sometimes I think we can look back and go, "Oh, that's what that lesson was for. That's cool."
Right. Yeah, only in hindsight.
Yeah, but we always had the answers. We just didn't learn how to apply them. And when we wanted to apply them in childhood or learn them, we got shamed or shut down.
Hmm.
So we kind of get like what we call need shock. Like I have this need, but I don't know how to relay it to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll manipulate surroundings to try to get the need met. And I tell people manipulation is just an ugly word for trying to control the outcome of something.
Yeah.
That's really what it
That's
is.
all it is. Yeah.
People lie when they don't feel safe telling the truth.
Right.
That's why we don't tell the truth.
I know. I know. It's that simple. So the sand tray
Oh,
is
back in the
a nice way to dissect. It's almost like you're putting it out. So you're taking it outside of yourself and examining it in front of you, which is probably really helpful for people in deep trauma because when you're living it and feeling it, it's hard to work with it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're just putting it out there as an external, almost like you're now observing the characteristic instead of becoming it, which is really interesting. I had no idea that was a therapy. That's cool. So anybody listening, get a sand tray.
Yes, it's training in sand tray. I love it. Love it. I've done advanced training in it. So it's one of my favorite ways to, it's just, I mean, my job, I feel like even as a therapist, our job sometimes is just to poke enough holes of light, pinholes of light for people to go, oh, not so alone in all this.
Well, it can be very lonely when you go through a difficult time.
You don't learn how to share yourself. You don't learn how to understand your emotions. You don't learn that your emotions are just descriptors of experiences. So
Yeah.
you don't like to be angry. And so it turns to rage because you don't release it at all, and start with like, oh, hey, I'm frustrated.
Well, right. That's funny you say that, Melanie. When my kids, I have four children, when they were really little, I had a couple of them that really just had very intense anger. And they actually taught me the cycle of anger. And I noticed just what you said. It started with frustration. There it was at the top of, and I made a circle for them. I just was like, this is what's happening. You're
Yeah.
frustrated, you're not working it out, so it becomes anger, right? And then it's simmering and you're getting more and more angry, then it's rage, then you're out of control. And then sadness would hit because they
Oh,
would
yeah.
feel bad about the whole experience. So I remember drawing this circle of anger for my son. And he's now 21 years old. And the other day he came in and he goes, Mom, you remember when, remember the circle of anger? I was telling a friend about that at work. I was
I
just
love
like,
that. I
yeah.
love that you did that for him. That's beautiful.
And it's funny because I'm not a therapist, but I was just witnessing what
Yes.
was going on. And I'm like, no, there's something happening. And here's the sign. And like you were just talking about, meeting a need. And that's all it is. There's these unmet needs. And maybe we could dive too into the nervous system because that's what's going on there too, is this, it's screaming out for regulation or something it's not getting.
We've got to tend to it. And in the moment, the way our brains work, they work from, the bottom up, meaning we've got to feel safe in order to, or we've got to know, our nervous system has to know that we're safe for us to feel safe, for us to behave safely, with those kind of acts of consciousness. So, or clarity rather. And so a lot of the time when we had to operate without that safety, you learn to rely on other people's emotional tone,
Mm-hmm.
which becomes hypervigilance later in life, and then people pleasing. You
Yeah.
learn to figure out what the other person needs, get them to say it first, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm all right with that. So
Yeah.
you effectively, people pleasing it's like the other end of the spectrum. We've got narcissism way over here and people pleasing is way over here, but they're both aimed at the same thing, which is to shut down discomfort of a need, of
Mm-hmm.
a true need, and the people pleasing, you lie to the other person because you tell them, oh, I'm okay with something, and you're not. So
Yeah.
you disservice you and you disservice them because you don't let them kind of work their stuff out since you're not okay with it. And it becomes a thing.
Well, I love how you brought those two together because they do
Yeah.
seem like they're complete opposites, but they're actually doing the same thing in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like everybody's a narcissist. I'm just like,
Well, it's to shut down vulnerability. I don't want to, I can't let you see this vulnerability because I never learned how to let it be safe. I never learned to say I'm feeling scared right now. Or, with men, a lot of it is being seen as weak.
yeah,
I can't be seen as weak because it means I'm less than. No, these are emotions.
right.
Even anger, they're describing experiences, but when you're not given that chance to develop that in childhood and adulthood, anger shows up with shame, sadness shows up with shame, and it'll become depression because we
Hmm.
don't talk about being sad.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be okay. Um, and it's a journey. And when you're in a system and a family that also surrounds that way, it's really hard because it's like you went to school and you found out this really new thing and you came home and they're like, that's crap.
Yeah.
Or there's moments of like, oh, that is right. We should do this better. But, it was like for me, I think I kept going back into that system rather than building my own system.
Hmm.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
United connects you to more of the world than any U.S. airline, and United for Business can get your company where you need to go. Whether you're growing a business or managing travel for thousands, they offer solutions to fit your needs. Track expenses, create reports, and manage traveler perks. Plus, employees earn Mileage Plus miles while your company saves on travel. Get started with no minimum spend or flight requirements. Visit business.united.com/podcast.
So, did you, as a child, you grew up, you said you went through a lot of trauma. Did you ever confront your family? Like, how did that work out? Are you close with the family still, or how is that working in your life?
So it's complicated. Both dads are dead now.
Hmm.
Um, my mom, since the book has come out, the relationship has been very tender.
Mm.
But I've also learned about capacity. I think that's been a good lesson for me lately, and that's not everybody has the capacity to hold me, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean that I'm less than.
Yeah.
It means that I just need to find the right people with the right capacity.
Hmm.
And it's okay that she doesn't, and if
Yeah.
reading it is too hard for her, or, I hope she has friends that say, you know what, I'll never read it because I love you and I just want to be a safe space for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish for that. But there was no confronting. There were more, if anything, questions. of where did it all come from? You know,
Right. Why is
like
that there? Yeah.
like what happened to you guys?
Yeah, like what drives a person and your parents or what and anybody listening if you've been in a situation like that, I'm sure the first thing is like what is going on in their own world to do that and project onto somebody else. And if they're not willing or first they don't think there's a problem most of the time. People don't admit it or if they know it, they don't say it, right? What is that?
So what that is that is fear fear of exposure.
Mhm.
We don't, accepting accountability means I have a strong enough self to go, even if I did something wrong and it sucks to hear about it, I know that I'm going to do my best to repair it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Instead of, oh, I did something wrong. Shit. Now I'm a failure. And
Yeah.
that's where our nervous system jumps to because the room at one time got really dangerous when we made a mistake. So learning to kind of find out, help ourselves in those moments, find capacity and tend to ourselves in those moments. When we start tending to ourselves, first of all, we you can't tell your brain that you're safe. You have to show it that it's safe.
Mhm. Yes, talk about that a little bit because the brain kind of does its repeating pattern, right? So
Oh yeah.
how do you get out of the pattern?
Okay, so let me explain it first, or let me explain explain it first. Uh, so this is the way I explain it because I can't speak neuroscience. Sometimes, like if you've watched Big Bang, I'm the Penny to Amy.
Mm.
But so here's mine. Okay, when you're driving, we've all driven and a car's pulled out in front of us or into our lane. Nothing happened, but it scared us, right?
Hmm.
Okay, you felt that? Okay.
Hmm.
Well, a few stoplights later, you're fine. Okay. Maybe that took you 90 seconds to get to that place of your heart rate's not all over the place now. And now you can look around and you're like, okay, I'm cool. That person is doing them whatever. There wasn't an accident. Okay. That is a moment of fear, fight, flight, or freeze coming from really scared. Oh my God, they pulled out in front of me. I'm going to die. Ah, back to safety, back to I'm okay.
Right.
So, another example I'll use is I lied to my husband a few months back about DoorDash. It was a simple little lie. He was like, "Did you order DoorDash today?" And I was like, "No." You know,
That wasn't me.
and we have a great relationship. So the next day I was like, "Why did I do that?" Like, because I'm in therapy myself, and I'm always, what are my patterns?
Yeah.
Um, I was like, oh, there was something in the tone that just suddenly. So what my nervous system did was, oh my God, we're gonna die or we're gonna get punished, we're gonna be in trouble. So I said no. That was the immediate response, right? Because I didn't know how to pause and calm myself for a second and remind myself that I'm a grown woman. I work, and if I wanted a DoorDash, I can order,
Yeah.
and
Like,
he
what's
wouldn't
the
have argued
harm?
with me about it, right? And he wouldn't have argued. So, but I didn't know that in those moments because there's a quarter of a second where my brain flipped the script. And we're talking, when I say a quarter of a second, you know how long a second is. I mean, a
Hmm.
quarter of that second for
Instant.
my,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
And it took me until the next day, I think, to get to clarity because clarity is like the very top,
Yeah.
right? First, we calm and then we can connect. Oh, it's okay. Like, let's hug. And then we clarify, like, okay, we're calm now. We can. And so I told my husband about it the next day and I was like, so for the next time, because this is the important part, we get stuck in rupture when we don't make a plan and we don't repair. One, I'm sorry I lied to you. I know it's just DoorDash. Two, in the future, I'm going to let myself pause. I'm going to give myself 90 seconds.
Yes.
That's kind of been my new mantra is just 90 seconds. Tend to my nervous system for 90 seconds and know the world's not going to end if I don't give an answer.
Yeah. The pause. Yeah.
Yeah, a pause.
Hmm.
And sometimes it happens where and there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I'm feeling the need to get up and help you clean up, even though I don't want to, you know, because I was doing something and you decided to clean and we didn't talk about that. And like, we've all had those, but it's in that moment of being able to express myself because I'm in a safe relationship. And so it's helping to identify those patterns. So we're usually going to recognize the pattern after it's already happened.
Yeah.
That's okay because the universe will give you lots of opportunities to repeat it
Every
or
day.
repair it. Yeah, I mean, you repeat it or you repair it. So
Right.
And it takes time to repair. And that's kind of where I love, going back to those intensives, because we can kind of repair some of these in real time and actually practice and live them, in those hours that we're working together, instead of this, okay, here's 50 minutes. We've unpacked just a tiny seed of your trauma.
Yeah.
Now practice feeling safe.
Which takes a lot of practice to do that.
Well, it takes a lot of practice to even get a person to have a felt sense of yes and a felt sense of no. And even that sometimes can be skewed by, I still feel comfortable when other people are calm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because when there's conflict, I lose myself.
Yeah.
I lose myself into the expectation of the roles that I was in, right?
Right.
Instead of into the identity of who I am in this piece of a role that doesn't align with me.
Yeah.
And that takes practice. And it's supposed to be practice when we're little so that we're really good at, or we're getting good at it as adults. We don't master it, of course, but we get better.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
So sometimes you are a grown person, and it's like I've in yoga recently, and I was like, I feel like a pre-K in my own body because
Yeah.
I'm learning it, and that's okay. It's kind of a cool thing. So just give yourself permission to always be curious.
Oh, yeah. I used to teach yoga many years ago, and I always loved people that were new because it was like seeing a whole world ahead of them, that they didn't know about yet. And it's so amazing to watch. And then people think they can't do it, right? Oh, I'm never going to be doing that. And then, 3 months later, they're doing it, and it's amazing. That's a little side tangent, but
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. But you talk about, I know I was reading through what you do, but you're talking about a lot about, and I think what you're referring to here is having insight on something is one thing, but then integrating it is a completely different ballgame. And you say something on your site that I would love to ask you about. You talk about embodied accountability. How do you describe that? And what does that mean to you?
So when we embody something, that means we feel it, right? We feel supported in it, and we feel this is something we want to keep, and accountability is part of self-discipline without having to use the word discipline because it's very triggering. But
Mhm.
um, discipline is used to train, teach, and correct. And accountability is kind of that same thing for us. It helps to keep us trained, always correcting and teaching and learning. Punishment shames and shuts down and also provides judgment and usually pain.
Mhm.
Uh, Punishment always requires a repair. Discipline doesn't,
Yeah.
because there was never any harm. There may be like you can't have your phone or whatever the thing is if you're a kid, but even as adults, nobody gets paddled on the freaking side of the highway when they break the speed limit. know? So, I'm sorry, but those lessons don't teach anything.
They don't.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? The paddle and the hurting of people.
To stop a behavior.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's because so and when we go into kind of generational trauma, we look at your parents probably thought you were an extension of them, which meant when you were bad, they were bad, right? Or
Mhm.
people looked at them like they were bad. So, but what
There it
happened?
is.
Yes.
People looked at them like they were bad parents.
Yes, their perception of it. But really what it was there was a way they already felt like a bad parent. So, I mean, that's it just rubbed that wound because people don't make us feel things. We recognize things, we see, yes, do I agree? No, I don't agree. And I get to be whole in myself, even not agreeing. So it's kind of taught from one, you're responsible for this person who is doing these things that you would not do. And sometimes it scares the parent, it dysregulates the parent, and it embarrasses. I mean, come on, kids embarrass us. They just do
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
It's the way they behave. And so, but on the inside, because we don't have enough self to step back in that moment of safety, there's not enough safety in myself to go, I'm not a bad parent. I can stand here while he screams like a 4-year-old at in Kmart
Yeah.
and, then send him off to college tomorrow like he's supposed to go. I'm kidding. But
I
sometimes it
know the
feels that way.
feeling.
Yeah. But when there's a stronger sense of self, there's that quarter second goes longer,
Hmm.
right? And so the more self that we embody, the more things that we go, okay, it's, accountability, it's taking care of me. Like you kind of take care of you like you take care of a kid. You set your kids up. You've like, okay, you've got breakfast, you've got warm clothes, you've got what you need, you've got snacks, you've got lunch, you've got playtime, you've got bath time. We need the same thing, I mean, it's going to be on a different level. But there needs to be those little moments of this is for me, so we don't lose us,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it's so easy to lose yourself in those roles too.
Yes.
And I'm sure you have I understand why you would have a lot of women at 40, 50, because women who've had children, that's the age where the kids are starting to grow up, right? And you've just put your life into them. And it's so easy, even if you don't have trauma in the past, it's still easy to get lost in everybody else's things. You're taking care of everyone else. And then all of a sudden they're all gone. And you're like, whoa, it's quiet. And what do I do now?
And yeah, it's learning to learn to be okay with boredom. Boredom is a state of being, and if you were not allowed to be bored as a kid, then boredom as an adult, for me, it came with shame. So I would shut down. I would scroll through my phone. I would find all kinds of other things to do, because I was bored. Well, when we allow boredom and we turn it into, it just means I don't know what I want to do right now. That's curiosity, because
Yes.
I don't know just needs data,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but if we make I don't know bad and then being bored is bad, well, now I can't experience this state in curiosity. I experience it in panic.
Yeah. Right. What is the boredom thing? Like, I love boredom. I think it's amazing. I've never had the feeling of that it's a bad thing ever in my life. But you said something, my parents didn't say anything about that. They never even used the word. It wasn't a thing in my house. But I know people who it was. And if they were not doing anything as a child, it was almost as if you're a waste. And so, what did you experience? Did your family have something around boredom?
Oh, it was, I'm bored. What do you mean you're bored? You have so much to be grateful for. So there was shame in that. Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like I don't know what to do. Or do you want me to give you something to do? You're bored, huh? Okay, well, let's make you pull weeds at, the scorch of noon. Uh, you
Oh,
know,
God.
here, let me. And so it was never answered with what it needed, what that question needed, which was, oh, you're bored. Do you want to move your body? Do you want to take a nap? Do you want to color? What feels good? Take some time. Figure it out. I'll be here when you figure it out.
Yeah.
Letting the child explore and letting me explore and figure, oh, I decided I want to read a book. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Instead, so when that is programmed into you, it's like my husband, when 360 goes off and I know he's on his way home, I'll still sometimes to this day start doing laundry or something because I feel like I need to be doing something.
Ah, uh-huh.
Like I have literally practiced just being on the couch with nothing around me but trash from the day just to see. And it was perfectly safe. He's like, "You gonna get that or you want me to help?" But I mean, we've had conversations ahead of time, so it's learning to feel safe in your body, being you. And that means you're going to get bored. That means you're going to disappoint people. I had to learn that it's not okay to be disappointed in someone, but it is okay to be disappointed for someone
Mm.
because that's very different. Yeah, because if my kids think I'm disappointed in them, that's a me that's when somebody's disappointed in me, that's like a moral failure.
Yeah.
But if they're disappointed for you know, the consequences of the choices and how hard this is going to be, from
Yeah.
what I did. That's a very different, compassionate experience.
It is. Yeah.
And that invites connection,
Right.
but being disappointed in me, you're not going to get any more of the story from me.
Well, that's a great way to look at it because the other way is, like you said, it's a disconnection from people and you're creating a separation. And then there's a whole lot of drama that goes on with that. It's just a mess. So I like that. I like that you do that. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you do with people? You say you call it true work because based on True, who you discovered.
Yes.
Yes.
And also kind of I did a framework of true, which true is tend, reflect, uncover, and embody. That's what true stands for. And
Say it
in,
one more time, Melanie. Say it one more time. So it's
Tend, like tending to something,
Uh-huh.
reflect,
Mm-hmm.
uncover, and embody.
Uncover. Got it. Uncover and embody. Okay.
Uncover, understand, kind of those two. So tending is that kind of, that's what's going to get us to go further than that quarter second when that happens. Of one, giving ourselves permission to just be afraid, letting us, okay, my heart rate's going to slow in a minute. I can tend to my body in this moment,
Right.
right? Um, Panic attacks will generally start because people will breathe in a lot. They're not breathing out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's why a lot of people take up smoking. What they don't realize is, oh, you're just, I mean, unfortunately, we're doing it with nicotine, but it's something to regulate your breathing. You have a stressful day and then you take a puff and you exhale. You don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. You can't walk around with it. So
Right.
it's like, it's a nervous system. Um, I call addictions attachments, which to me are just barbed wire. It's you learned for this thing to help you feel good because nobody else did.
That's a good way to look at addiction because it implies that it's a horrible, and it can be, right? It can ruin people's lives, but at the same time, they're doing it for some reason. Yeah. And what's the reason?
Because something made us feel better than someone.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and that's what happens is that part of us goes away that
Yeah.
wants to be accepted and loved and that needs that because it's not safe for that piece to be there. And that's so we kind of addictions are kind of our way of shutting the door to that part and not feeling the stuff. That's why we will intellectualize, trying to get in your intellectualizers to feel their feelings is like trying to feed a 2-year-old something he don't want.
It doesn't compute. No.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to feel this. This is icky. And yeah, you have to go in layers, right?
Yeah.
For them to feel safe taking it in. And sometimes it's just pointing it out, like, well, what you're experiencing right now sounds like sadness. You know, that sounds like embarrassment. That sounds like frustration. That, we're giving emotional vocabulary. What I love about, on the true work sessions, we're just looking at patterns.
Right.
The things that are getting in your life, the reasons you're not successful usually are because you have some patterns that you're still falling into, and we need to figure out what they are. And once you do, you kind of slowly start to unravel it. You know, when we have a bunch of kind of barbed wire attachments, you wouldn't pull barbed wire off of something that's been there for a while. It would, destroy it.
Yeah, exactly.
But those wounds, those are those barbs, and as we pull them out, that hurts,
Yeah.
Intensives when they come to me, because that's where I can practice therapy. I can't practice outside of Arkansas.
Mm.
And not everybody needs therapy. There's a lot of people that kind of are in counseling, but they're just needing kind of a different coaching. Like there's somebody else that can deal with kind of the trauma and the wounds and stuff. I'm just plugging in the information, the psychoeducation, the nervous system, and identifying these are the patterns, and that's probably what's happening.
Right.
For me, it was always that feeling of I was in trouble. Somebody would call my name as an adult, and be like, what did I do?
Because it was so programmed that it was always a problem when your
Oh,
name.
yeah.
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 I could see that. Yeah.
So, and that's what it comes up to is that's how they repeat themselves. There's a whole kind of theory, there's all kinds of theories behind it, but sometimes it's just trapped emotion that didn't get a chance to feel safe coming and completing that fear that got caught when that car didn't hit you. If you didn't take care of that fear, every time you drove around, you would be afraid cars were going to pull out in front of you.
Yes. Well, that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And the car accidents were when nobody came and you had to army crawl your way to help.
Well, that actually happened. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there was no repair. There was no softness.
Right.
So that's where those experiences stay stored in our minds and our brains because there was never a safe outcome for them. And that's what EMDR, hypnotherapy, Santre, that's what all those different therapeutic modalities do is they bring it back, they get it to the next stoplight.
Yeah.
So we can go, oh, okay, not everybody is going to pull out in front of me.
No, statistically speaking too, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
I mean, you could put a little math into it. It's like, nah,
Yeah.
the probability's not there every time.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right. So
not.
it's kind of it's like learning how to back up and go, oh, I'm safe and see a bigger picture instead of just that feeling in the moment that you're in trouble, you're not going to survive this, you're going to disappoint people, you're
Yeah.
weak, you're pathetic, like whatever it is, and that's part of that tending
Uh-huh.
is what is just let it sit, just let it be,
Yeah.
When you were a kid, that's what was supposed to happen. Parents create the containers that kids unfold in. And big emotions for children look like, oh, it looks like you're angry right now, and
Yeah.
kids will tell you whether they're angry or not.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Or it's like, okay, well, we get to be angry. We don't get to be mean.
Yeah.
That one freaking sentence would have changed the life course of my family. It's learning that I'm okay. I'm for being supported with this, not held alone and not sent to cry off by myself,
Hmm.
being held in that. And when we're loved well and supported well, we will find people who love and support us well instead of people we know how to survive. And that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. Do you use True, sounds like your spiritual essence to me when you talk about that? Do you use that for you as your own support? Like you can be physically supported by the people around you, but let's say you're not with anybody. Let's say you're alone and you're having an experience. You go deeper with it, right?
There's enough self there. Yes, true is the self. It's like you get to name it whatever you want to call it, your inner light.
Yeah.
It's the part of you that if it stood there and knew nothing but love and only it can only look at love, like what does love say? You know,
Right.
and that is their true. So I do also embodied collage, which is kind of cool.
What is this? Embodied
So
collage.
embodied collage is here. It's things like this that kind
Okay,
of
you're holding up like a vision board
I
almost.
know.
Or,
Well,
yeah.
okay, kind of. Well, it's a art journal, but so a friend and I came up with we have these little just blank notebooks, and the outside is the door. That's our armor. That's who we learn to protect, and the inside is our inner light. It's all the things that we need to know about our inner light, our values, the things that we love. It's building kind of authenticity inside. For me, authenticity didn't form very well because vulnerability wasn't safe. So if
Hmm.
vulnerability is not safe, that can't form, and then I can't form in relationship later, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we kind of go and on the front, we'll use different stickers because not everybody's different. I just like a bunch of different things. But people will draw, create collage, just the coping skills, the things that they've learned to survive. And then on the inside, things that they learn about themselves that they want to keep real.
Mm.
It's in the beginning, when I'm working with someone who's had a significant amount of trauma and not a lot of therapy, it's a lot of identity replacement,
Yeah.
because it's like I'm showing up in your office and if I had to build a dating profile, everything's blank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to teach you how to swipe right on yourself.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny.
and it can go even like okay, well, what do you like to eat, or like what are your favorite foods, and even those can be difficult questions that we've got to break down because it's like, well, I don't know, what are your favorite foods?
Uh,
What do you want to eat, and okay, well, what feels good for you when you eat it? What makes you smile? What makes you want to throw it up? you
yeah.
know okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're comparing your body with a feeling, right,
Right.
and giving it information at the same time. And that's kind of slowly how it builds because they've learned to, again, intellectualize feelings.
And it's very creative in the process, it looks like. I mean, I think they want to put a kibosh on creativity, right? Everybody's got to learn just the science and math today. And I'm like, no, there's so much in the arts, right? For
Yeah,
people
well,
to
they take
explore.
home this book that is full of nothing but the the insights they've gained about themselves.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. As we near the end of the show here, I want to ask you a final question, and then you can share anything you'd like after that. But I have a question for you as I've been listening to you. It's been making me think. You sound like you went through just a huge transformation in your life, and for all the things in the past that may have been horrific to you, you've turned it around and have been of service to other people. How has this changed you as a mother, parenting your own children?
I had to heal to see them
Mm,
because otherwise the filters of I mean, I saw them like this,
yeah.
I didn't have a lot of that information when they were little. So, yes, I have regrets, but no one belongs in perpetual punishment. And the more I heal, the more I honor the relationship with them, and the more safety I give them. I just recently lost my bio dad, and there was never any safety. And I called my kids after he passed, and I said, there have been so many times in my life where I've wondered if my parents love me. So I want to give you permission to call me so that I can lovingly remind you of just how worthy of love you are if you ever question that. And the gift for me in that was both of them said, Mom, I know you love me.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
And why are you calling me, Mom?
Yeah. So it was like,
well, it was for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And I was like, okay, I can get caught up in the mistakes of everything that was made, or I can look at the lessons of how I want it to make me different.
Yeah.
And how I want to be different, because that's what love does.
Mm-hmm. And that's what True taught you.
Yeah, I've had so much hate and anger. I know what that feels like. I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Now I want to see the other side.
Well, that's really beautiful, Melanie. It's so lovely to hear your story. And I thank you so much for joining me today. And for anybody listening, your book is called You Are for True, and you can order it on your website, but you can also get it on Amazon, right?
Yes. Yeah, I prefer from the website. It's youre4.com.
youre4.com. Right. Yeah. I'll link it in the show notes too. And Perfect. Get on her website. She's got a lot of services, and you're just a lovely, lovely woman. And I can tell why people would like coming to see you, because you just seem so grounded. It's comforting.
It's a lot of work.
Right. And nothing surprises you, I'm sure, when you're working with people.
Sometimes that's what I've studied.
Well, thank you for joining me, Melanie. And please come back anytime.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at liveLikeEden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.
Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.
The most memorable gifts aren't found, they're made. Zazzle is a custom marketplace where you pick any product, a mug, a card, a tote, a phone case, and make it personal. A photo, a name, an inside joke. The kind of gift that actually fits the person. That's what 30 million customers have been coming back to Zazzle for over 20 years to find. Right now, save 25% on your first order at Zazzle.com. That's Zazzle.com. Make it zamazing.